Hello everyone and welcome to the Maven Dojo. Rematch is a competitive 5v5 game developed by Slowclap, the same developers of Sifu. You know, Sifu, the famous fighting game. While the game is obviously a sports game, it actually feels a lot closer to games like Overwatch and Street Fighter to some extent. And you know, as a Brazilian myself, it's my obligation to try out this game. Differently than others, Rematch lets you control one character only. It plays a lot more like a third-person action game rather than your classic top-view type game like 2K or FIFA. While I know some other sports games have done something similar in the past, what makes Rematch unique is how precise you have to be with your own inputs. For example, to do a simple pass, you have to hit square together with the direction on the left analog. Easy enough, right? But how much you hold square determines how strong the kick you do. Makes sense. But when it comes to a real match, it's not that simple. For example, if you want to pass to this guy, you have to consider the direction. Do you want to pass it where he is, or you want to press where he's gonna be? How strong do you have to kick to do that? Can any opponent intercept? And also, can another player reach me before I can even do the pass? Or do I want to forego passing altogether and try to dribble the next opponent? Dribbling is a whole different game. You can hold L2 to enter the dribble stance and pretty much start strafing. You can press X in any direction to basically do a dash, which can help you evade the tackle at the cost of stamina. But if the opponent knows you're gonna do that, he can just delay his button and get the ball from you. You can also press R1 to do a chapéu, kicking the ball over the opponent. But if again he predicts that, he can hold L2, which pretty much works as a defensive stance, and take the ball from you that way. But then again, if you think he's gonna do that, you can just run past him. But if you always just try to run past him, he can tackle you. So you can see how it creates a RPS situation that just activates my fighting game brain. So the game gives you multiple options to try to dribble and get past the opponent, but it also gives the opponent multiple ways to take the ball from you. So that on top of having other 4 teammates. So in a way, it kind of reminds me of Valorant or Counter-Strike, where even though you're part of a team, there's a bunch of situations where you're forced to just go into a 1v1 with somebody. Rematch also has a very elegant solution to the goalkeeper problem. Simply put, most people don't want to play as a goalkeeper. While the game doesn't really assign roles, every time a goal happens, the game rotates who's going to start the game as the goalkeeper. And I say start, because if you leave the penalty area, you simply become a regular player. And then whatever player that steps into the area becomes the goalkeeper. So this means that if you're playing with randoms, you're going to have a keeper, and if you're playing with friends, you guys can easily swap. And I can't stress how hard this game is to control in the beginning. And because every character is the same, there's no power-ups, no ultimates, no special abilities. All that differentiates a good player from a bad player is just raw skill and positioning. Which again, as a fighting game player, I like. This game definitely borrows a lot of the visual style from Sifu. They ditch a more hyper-realistic style that's often the standard for a more stylized look. The animations are all pretty good. It can be kinda hard to keep track of the ball sometimes, but that's just the nature of the game. You can customize your character with all the standard stuff. Gender, skin color, face, hair, a couple different options for uniform and colors, with some luck behind microtransactions, but I'll talk more about that later. When it comes to audio, it's all very minimal but effective. The soundtrack responds dynamically to the match building during tense moments and fading during resets, while the sound effects and movements are all very satisfying. Very little voice work and very little ambient audio, which helps just being clear. I don't think most people are going to be listening to the Rematch soundtrack as they're driving their way to work. Now that we talked about the good, unfortunately I still gotta talk about the bad. Now, I did say that every character is the same, which meant that matches are decided on skill and skill alone for the most part. However, because all characters can do the same thing, there is no variety on the gameplay. So I can see the game getting stale really quickly. Imagine you're just playing Counter-Strike, but every round is a pistol round on the same map. Or you're playing Street Fighter, but you can only play Ryu versus Ryu. While it might be good for a little bit, nobody's gonna call that a good game. Another problem is that there is no way to specialize. For example, I'm really good at defense and passing the ball and crossing the ball to let other people strike. I'm actually really bad at striking the goal myself, which is actually kind of funny because that was how I played soccer myself as a kid. I also like to just hang back and wait for a rebound, but there is no way to trade shooting power for stamina, or jumping height for a better tackle, or anything like that. So there is no way for you as a player to specialize or change your character to fill a specific role in the team. Another issue that's plaguing this game is just the amount of disconnects and desyncs that happen. A couple of times I would see somebody having possession of the ball, and then the ball would randomly teleport somewhere else because of a desync. I once had 7 players disconnect at the same time, so instead of being a 5v5, the game suddenly became a 2 versus 1.
Oh shit. Okay, let's get it, bro. Free game, bro. Free game.
Monetization. Now this is the big one. The game has no story, no single player content besides training, and then it also has a shop filled with cosmetics and a battle pass. And then they're still asking you for $30. That is way too much for a game that feels like it's in early access, because overall the game just doesn't feel like a complete product. There is no practice mode with your team. You can't just have you and your boys go into practice and like figure stuff out. There is no players versus AI option, so you're just stuck on quick match or ranked match or doing training by yourself. I really wish I could recommend this game. There's a lot of good here. They have a very strong base. The game is fun. But I only recommend this game if you have Xbox or PC Game Pass, that you can just go and download it right now. Or if you have friends that would want to play with you, and you're all okay spending $30 to play for like 2-3 weeks the most. And for everyone else, just stick to Rocket League.